The mansion was quieter than it had been in years. Not the peaceful kind of quiet that comes after a celebration or a long day of laughter. No. This one felt like the air itself was sitting still, afraid to move, afraid to breathe, afraid that any sound might break whatever thin thread of calm still held the place together. Clarissa had been taken away hours ago. Samuel Okoro walked out shortly after, shoulders stiff, eyes tired, but his heart finally lightened by truth. Chief Benson had followed him out briefly, speaking softly, apologizing with the voice of a man who had lost too much already. Afterward, he left the mansion as well, ashamed to face anyone inside. Mama Tise prayed quietly in the corner, whispering words only heaven could properly interpret. And Chika Anderson. Chika stood outside the mansion gates, hands tucked into his pockets, staring at the slow sunset as though trying to read a message hidden in the sky. His mind replayed the last few hours like a broken movie reel. Clarissa's screams, the confession, the recording, the betrayal buried beneath the silk and smiles, and Amaka standing firm when no one else would. For years, he believed loyalty meant closing one's eyes to the shadows around a person. He believed love meant protecting someone, even when they didn't deserve it. But today taught him something new. Love was truth, and truth was freedom. He inhaled deeply, letting the cool evening breeze wash over him. Behind him, the workers moved quietly in the house, resetting chairs, wiping down tables, sweeping the marble floor. Not because he told them to, but because they didn't know what else to do with their hands, while their hearts processed everything they had witnessed. Inside, Amaka finished rinsing her hands in the staff kitchen sink. She dried them on a small towel and stared at her reflection in the glass panel of the cupboard. Her face looked tired, more tired than she expected, for a day she didn't anticipate being at the center of. She touched her wrist, the same wrist she'd used to catch Clarissa's slap. She didn't regret it, not for a second, but she also didn't expect the chaos that followed. A soft knock at the doorframe made her turn. It was Mama Tise. "Child," the older woman said gently, stepping inside. "I need to speak with you." Amaka nodded and followed her to the corner of the kitchen where the light from the window painted Mama Tise's face in warm gold and soft shadows. They sat. For a moment, the older woman said nothing. Her eyes were lowered, deep in thought, almost sad. "Are you all right, Ma?" Amaka asked softly. Mama Tise lifted her head and chuckled one of those tired laughs that never reached the eyes. "I should be asking you that question." She reached out and held Amaka's hand. "My dear, you were brave today, but your bravery came at a cost none of us expected." Amaka shook her head. "I didn't want trouble. I only wanted her to stop. And she did," Mama T said. "Because of you." Silence again. Then Amaka asked the question she had been avoiding since the chaos began. Do you think I did the right thing?" Mama Tise squeezed her hand. "My child, the truth is simple. You saved someone else from being hurt. That is always the right thing." Amaka exhaled deeply, relief softening her shoulders. But Mama Tise wasn't finished. "There is something you must understand about this house," the woman continued. "People think working for the wealthy is only about cleaning, arranging, cooking. But sometimes it is also about seeing their secrets, their weaknesses, their hidden wounds." Amaka swallowed. She knew where this was going. "Clarissa's downfall began long before you stopped her hand," Mama Tisa said softly. "You did not break her. Life did. Her choices did. Her lies did. You were only the mirror she finally had to face." Amaka nodded slowly. Then Mama Tisa leaned closer. "But Amaka, there is one person in this house whose future now ties into yours." Amaka blinked. She didn't understand. "Who, Ma?" Mama Tisa smiled gently. "Chika." Amaka jumped slightly. "No, Ma. Sir Chika is a billionaire. I'm just a maid. He's going through too much already." Mama Tisa lifted her hand and Amaka fell silent. "Child," she said with a knowing look, "you remind him of something he has not seen in a long time." Amaka's heart thudded. She looked away quickly. "I don't want any misunderstanding," she whispered. "I respect him, but nothing more." Mama Tisa tilted her head. "And if life says otherwise?" Amaka's breath caught. Before she could answer, footsteps approached. Both women turned. "Chika." He stood at the doorway, framed by the fading sunlight, his expression unreadable. "Amaka," he said quietly. May I speak with you? Mama Tisa stood immediately. I'll give you 2 space. She slipped out, leaving Amaka alone with the man whose life had just fallen apart in front of her eyes. Chika walked in slowly, stopped a few feet away, and rested one hand on the counter. He didn't look angry. He didn't look hurt. He didn't look confused. He looked human, something Amaka had never seen in him so clearly before. Thank you, he said. Amaka blinked. For what, sir? For being brave when everyone else, including me, was blind. Amaka lowered her gaze. I didn't do anything special. You did more than you know, Chika replied. You stopped a cycle, you protected people, you showed me the truth about someone I thought I knew. He paused. You helped me. Open my eyes. Amaka's throat tightened. I only wanted peace, sir. And yet, Chika said gently, you brought justice. He took a breath, then another. There was something else he wanted to say, but he hesitated, weighing his words carefully. Amaka, he finally whispered, I know today was heavy for all of us, but tomorrow will bring its own challenges. My board will hear about this incident. The media might come knocking. My extended family will certainly try to twist the story. Amaka looked up slowly. What should we do? Chika's eyes softened. I don't know yet. But, he exhaled, I know I want you to stay in this house. Amaka froze. I don't want to cause more trouble. You won't. But Clarissa will not be returning. Silence. Only the soft hum of the refrigerator filled the room. Then Chika stepped back slightly, gave her a small, sincere smile, and said, When the dust settles, I would like us to talk again. Properly. Amaka's heart stumbled. Yes, sir, she whispered. He nodded gently and walked out. The moment he left, Amaka pressed a hand against her chest. Her heart wasn't just beating. It was warning her, or calling her, she didn't know which. Behind her, Mama Tisa reappeared quietly. So? The old woman said with a sly smile. How did the talk go? Amaka's cheeks burned. Mama. The older woman laughed softly and patted her shoulder. My dear, part 2 of your life has already begun. Night fell over the Anderson mansion like a velvet curtain, soft and quiet, but carrying a heaviness that settled into every corner of the house. There were no raised voices now, no slamming doors, no echoes of fear or anger. Instead, there was an eerie calm, the kind that follows disaster, not because everything was resolved, but because everyone was too drained to speak. In the staff quarters, some workers whispered in small groups, replaying the chaos over and over in their minds. Others kept to themselves, unable to grasp how quickly the day had turned from routine to unforgettable. Some were afraid, some were relieved, but all of them, in different ways, were changed. Because today, Truth had walked into the mansion and demanded to be paid. Inside his study, Chika sat alone, elbows resting on the polished wooden desk, fingers intertwined tightly. His eyes were fixed on nothing, or perhaps everything. The weight of betrayal pressed down on him like an invisible stone. He wasn't angry at Clarissa anymore. Anger was too simple for what he felt. He felt robbed. Robbed of trust. Robbed of innocence. Robbed of the future he thought he was walking toward. His mother had always told him, the wrong person will cost you more than money. They will cost you peace. Tonight, he finally understood what she meant. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. Board chairman. We heard something happened at your estate. Should we be concerned? He closed his eyes. Of course the news was spreading. Bad news always flew faster than the truth. He began typing a reply. All is under control. But his hand paused above the screen. Was it? Was anything under control? He deleted the message. Elsewhere in the mansion, Amaka stood outside the back door, staring at the moonlit courtyard. The soft glow bathed the plants in silver light and made the air feel cooler, calmer. She needed that calm. She wrapped her arms around herself, replaying Clarissa's screams, Samuel's fury, Chief Benson's confession, and Chika's pain. She had never wanted to be the center of anything. She only wanted to work quietly, send money home, and avoid trouble. But trouble had found her anyway. She wondered what her mother would say if she were awake and healthy enough to speak to her by phone. Probably something wise, something comforting. Something simple like, my daughter, truth costs something, but lies cost more. Maybe Mama T's would say the same. Footsteps sounded behind her. She turned. It was Chika. He approached slowly, hands in pockets, gaze soft but searching. "I thought you'd be resting," he said gently. Amaka lowered her eyes. "I couldn't sleep, sir." He came to stand beside her, both of them looking at the quiet courtyard. "I know," he whispered. "Neither can I." Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, but heavy with unspoken thoughts. After a moment, Chika asked, "Amaka, can I ask you something personal?" She hesitated but nodded. "Yes, sir." "What gave you the courage to stop her hand?" Amaka's breath caught. She wasn't used to talking about herself, especially not to a billionaire who spoke with the gentleness of a man unused to getting honest answers. She swallowed. "My mother," she said softly. "Before she fell sick, she used to tell me, 'Respect everyone, but fear no one. We all bleed the same.' So when Miss Clarissa tried to slap me again, I remembered my mother's voice." Chika stared at her, his expression unreadable but intense. "That's a powerful lesson," he murmured. Amaka nodded. "It's the last thing she told me before I left our village." Chika inhaled deeply. "I envy you," he said suddenly. She turned to him, confused. "Envy me? Why, sir?" "Because," he said quietly, "you still have someone whose voice gives you courage. My mother gave me strength too. But she's gone now." Amaka felt a tug in her chest. "I'm sorry, sir." He gave a faint smile, though sadness lingered in his eyes. "It's all right. Grief is part of life. But sometimes I wish she were here. She would have seen the truth about Clarissa before I did." Then his voice dropped. "Maybe she would have stopped me from paying such a heavy price." Amaka didn't ask what he meant. The pain on his face said enough. After a long pause, she spoke softly. "Sir, sometimes we pay high prices, not because we are weak, but because we love too deeply." Chika turned to her slowly. Their eyes met, and something shifted between them, not romantic, not dramatic, just human. A connection built on truth, not intention. "You're wise," he said gently, "wiser than most people I know." Amaka looked away, embarrassed. "I'm just someone who has seen enough pain to recognize it in others." Chika studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. "There will be consequences after today," he said. "The press might spin the story. Investors might ask questions. My extended family might accuse me of mishandling things." He paused. "But the heaviest consequence is personal." Amaka looked up again. "How do you mean, sir?" Chika exhaled deeply. "I chose Clarissa. I trusted her. I defended her. And today I discovered she was capable of destroying everything I built." He clenched his jaw. "The price I paid wasn't the scandal. It was believing in the wrong person." His voice cracked slightly, barely noticeable, but Amaka caught it. She stepped closer, just enough to show presence, but not disrespect. "Sir," she said softly, "trusting someone isn't a mistake, but ignoring your heart is. Today, your heart saw clearly. That is not a loss, it is a blessing." Chika looked at her again. She held his gaze. Steady, calm, soft, but strong. Just like earlier when she caught the slap. Something inside him steadied. For the first time all day, he felt a piece of himself relax. "Thank you, Amaka," he said quietly. "You're welcome, sir." They stood together for a while longer, watching the moon rise higher. Inside the house, workers whispered as they noticed the two talking. Some smiled. Some shrugged. Some exchanged curious glances. But one thing was certain. Amaka no longer walked through the mansion as just another maid. She walked with quiet respect, earned, not demanded. And though she didn't know it yet, her presence had already begun to heal the fractures Clarissa left behind. Meanwhile, far across Lagos, Clarissa sat alone in a holding room at the police station. Her mascara had streaked down her cheeks. Her hands trembled, her eyes were hollow with fear. For the first time in her life, there was no mansion to run to, no status to hide behind, no Chika to defend her. No lies left to tell, just truth. And consequences. The officer slid a statement paper toward her. "Sign." Her hand shook violently as she picked up the pen. Tears dripped onto the page. "Everything has a price," she whispered to herself, "and I am finally paying mine." The next morning arrived too quietly. The sun rose over the Anderson mansion with a soft golden glow, but the house did not wake with its usual rhythm. No hurried footsteps in the hallways, no clatter of breakfast dishes, No gentle greetings between staff. Instead, everyone moved as though their bodies were present, but their spirits were still stuck in the chaos of the day before. Amaka stood by one of the long dining tables, wiping it carefully, even though it was already clean. Her hands were steady, but her mind was not. She had barely slept, barely eaten, and barely breathed without replaying every second of yesterday. Clarissa's scream, Samuel's rage, Chief Benson's confession, and Chika's face breakable, wounded, human. She had never felt so close to the heart of someone else's storm. She didn't know what role she was meant to play now, or if she wanted one. Footsteps echoed faintly. She turned. It was the head butler, Mr. Coyote, older, composed, but visibly tense. "Amaka," he said, voice low. "Master Chike is asking for you in the study." Her heart jumped. "Me? Why, sir?" His eyes darted toward the hallway, as if someone might overhear. "I don't know." But the tone, the way he said it. He paused. "Just go quickly." Amaka wiped her palms on her apron and walked through the mansion with careful steps. Her heart thudded louder the closer she got to the study. Something felt different this morning, not wrong, not dangerous, but charged. When she reached the door, she knocked softly. "Come in," Chike's voice answered. She entered. Chike stood by the window, back turned, hands clasped behind him. He was dressed in a sharp charcoal suit, not for work, she sensed, but for a battle. Papers were scattered across his desk, some stamped in red, others with headlines from tabloids. He didn't turn around. "Amaka," he said quietly, "tell me something honestly." Her fingers tightened slightly. "Yes, sir." "Do you regret what you did?" Amaka blinked. "No, sir. If I had to do it again, I would still stop her hand." Chike finally turned. His eyes, not as cold as last night, but still wounded, met hers. "I'm glad," he said. Then he walked to his desk, picked up a newspaper, and handed it to her. She read the headline, "Billionaire's fiancé arrested, Maid involved in mansion scandal." Her stomach dropped. She didn't want her name tied to scandal. She didn't come here to be seen. She came to work quietly and leave quietly. Her fingers trembled slightly as she lowered the paper. Chike watched her carefully. "I'm sorry," he said. "The press twisted everything. They're camped outside the gate. They want statements. They want interviews. They want faces." He paused. "They want you." Amaka's eyes widened in fear. "Me? Why me, sir? I didn't do anything wrong." "You didn't," Chike said firmly. "But they don't care about truth. They care about stories. And you," he exhaled slowly, "have become the center of one." Amaka stepped back, panic rising in her chest. "No, no, sir. I can't be in the news. My mother is sick. People in my village will worry. I don't want trouble. Please." Chike moved toward her. "Amaka, calm down. I won't let anyone harm you." But his reassurance wasn't enough to steady her breathing. Because this time, the danger wasn't Clarissa. It was the world. Chika placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I will protect you," he said softly. "But I need you to trust me." She looked up at him, and for a moment the study felt smaller, quieter, almost like a confession. "I do trust you," she whispered. He didn't move his hand. "And I need you today." His tone deepened. "There are things I must handle, things that may affect everyone in this house. But before that, I need to know something." She waited. His eyes searched hers with an intensity she wasn't prepared for. "Why do you always look so fearless?" he asked. She blinked in surprise. "I'm not fearless, sir. I just don't want my fear to control me." Chike's chest rose as if the words reached deeper than she intended. Before he could respond, a loud, urgent knock exploded against the door. Chike's face hardened instantly. "Come in." The head of security stepped inside, breathing heavily. "Sir, there's a problem." Chika straightened. "What now?" "It's Samuel Okoro." Amaka gasped. "What about him?" Chike asked sharply. "He didn't go home last night." Chike frowned. "Where is he then?" "That's the problem," the guard said. "He never left the compound." Chike's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean he never left?" The guard swallowed. "We found his car parked behind the eastern wall. And sir, he wasn't alone." Chike stiffened. "Alone? You mean someone else was with him?" The guard shook his head slowly. "No, sir, I mean, Someone came to meet him. A cold wave washed through the room. Amaka's heart pounded. Chika stepped closer to the guard. Who came? The guard hesitated. We're not entirely sure. But the men we saw weren't ordinary visitors. Chika's jaw tightened. Explain. The guard finally said it. They looked like men who weren't coming for peace. Amaka felt her knees weaken. Chika pressed his fingers to his temple, trying to piece the possibilities together. Are you saying Samuel may be planning something? Chika asked. The guard gulped. Sir, the men didn't enter the mansion. They stayed outside the eastern wall for only a few minutes. They exchanged something with Samuel. Then they left. Chika turned pale. Exchanged what? We don't know, sir. Amaka felt a chill crawl up her spine. Chika's voice dropped to a cold whisper. Where is Samuel now? That's the thing, the guard said. He's inside the compound. Inside? Chika echoed. The guard nodded. He's been walking around the edges of the property since dawn. Watching the house. Amaka felt her throat tighten. Watching. Clarissa is already with the police. Then what does he want now? She whispered. The guard didn't answer, because even he didn't know. Chika inhaled sharply and turned to Amaka. Stay inside. Do not go near the windows. Do not walk alone. If anything feels strange, call me immediately. She nodded, fear creeping into her bones. But the chapter wasn't done with her, because just as Chika walked past her to leave the study, she heard something. A whisper. Soft. Close. Too close. She turned sharply toward the window. Nothing. Her breath came unevenly. Are you all right? Chika asked, pausing. Yes, She swallowed. I thought I heard someone whispering. Chika frowned deeply. We'll increase security. He left with the guard, the tension following him like a shadow. Amaka was now alone in the study. She looked again at the window. Nothing moved. No whisper. No shadow. But the unease in her chest didn't fade, because a question had been planted. What if Clarissa wasn't the only storm coming for this house? Amaka did not leave the study immediately. She heard the guard's footsteps fade, followed by Chika's. Then silence settled again, heavy, uncomfortable, almost unnatural. The polished wooden floor reflected the golden morning light, yet the room still felt strangely cold. Amaka's fingers tightened around her apron. Something was wrong. She could feel it. After a moment, she forced herself to breathe normally and walked out into the hallway. Other workers moved about, but much slower than usual, whispering in corners, glancing at the windows, flinching at unexpected sounds. The mansion that once felt bright and grand now felt like a place holding its breath. On her way to the kitchen, she passed by two maids, Adaora and Kemi, huddled together. Did you hear what the guard said? Adaora whispered. Kemi nodded nervously. They said the man outside hasn't blinked in hours. Amaka paused. Adaora continued, voice trembling. They said he is not looking for Clarissa anymore. He is watching us now. Kemi's eyes widened. But why? We didn't do anything. Adaora lowered her voice. That's what scares me. Amaka's heart thudded. She stepped closer. What exactly did you two hear? Both maids jolted. They hadn't heard her walking up. Kemi exhaled shakily. Amaka, we heard that the man Samuel Okoro is roaming near the fence. He's not shouting anymore. He's not asking for Clarissa. He's observing. Adaora swallowed. They said he speaks to no one. He just stares. A chill brushed over Amaka's arms. Stares at what? She asked. Adadora's voice dropped. At the mansion windows. Before Amaka could respond, a loud knock echoed through the hallway. Knock. 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 Slow, heavy, too deliberate. Everyone froze. Another knock followed, same rhythm, same weight. A guard rushed from the far end of the hallway. Everyone stay back, he commanded. Workers scattered into corners, some hiding behind pillars. The guard opened the front door a little, and the sunlight filled the corridor. But the moment he leaned forward to see who it was, he jerked back. The knock wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from the side entrance. A second guard shouted from the kitchen. Sir, someone is at the side door asking for Amaka. Amaka felt her stomach twist violently. The maids beside her gasped. For you, Adaora whispered. But how would he know your name? Kemi asked, eyes wide with fear. Amaka didn't have an answer. Chika's voice suddenly rose from upstairs. What's happening? Sir, the guard replied with a shaky voice. Someone is at the side entrance asking specifically for Miss Amaka. Chika descended the stairs quickly, his expression dark. 2 guards flanked him. Do not open the door, Chika ordered. Check the cameras first. Another guard sprinted toward the surveillance room. Minutes later, he returned, breathless. Sir, it's Samuel Okoro. A ripple of fear spread across the hallway. Amaka's pulse hammered in her ears. Why is he asking for her? Adaora whispered. Chika turned sharply to the guard. What is he saying? The guard swallowed hard. He says, he needs to talk to the girl who held Clarissa's hand. The whole house froze again. Amaka bit her lip, trying to stay calm. Chika stepped forward, placing himself between her and the side door. No one will speak to her without my permission, he said firmly. The guard nodded. Yes, sir. Unabrim buffered. But then, another knock echoed. This one louder, more forceful. Chika clenched his jaw. Move Amaka to the inner quarters. She must not step outside or near any doors. Yes, sir. 2 maids rushed to Amaka, gently but urgently pulling her away. But as they rounded the corner, she heard Samuel's voice through the side door. Deep, cold, focused. Amaka Nwozu, I know you can hear me. Her breath caught. Every step became heavier. Who told him her name? Why her? Why now? The guards escorted her to the inner quarters, an area only used during emergencies. The small hallway had no windows, only a single light bulb flickering occasionally. Amaka sat on the bench, hugging herself tightly. Her mind spun wildly. Why would Samuel want her? She had never met him. She had never wronged him. Unless he believed she had something to do with Clarissa's exposure, or worse, that she was now a witness he needed to warn. Or silence. Her breaths grew shaky. A soft knock sounded at the inner corridor door. Not Samuel's knock. This one was gentle. Amaka? Chika's voice called softly. She exhaled in relief. The guard opened the door and Chika stepped inside. He looked exhausted, dark circles beneath his eyes, worry lines deeper than usual. He sat beside her. Are you all right? He asked. Yes, sir, I think. Her voice was small. Chika rubbed his forehead. You're safe here. He can't reach this part of the house. Amaka looked at him anxiously. Sir, why does he want me? Chika hesitated. Then he said, I don't know yet, but I promise I won't allow anything to happen to you. Amaka looked down. I don't want to cause trouble for your house. You didn't, he cut in. You exposed the truth. And some truths attract shadows. She looked up slowly. Shadows? Chika nodded. We think Samuel is not working alone. Amaka stiffened. What do you mean? Chika sighed. One of my guards, said Samuel, met with 3 unknown men at dawn. Men who looked dangerous. Amaka's fingers tightened. What were they discussing? We don't know. But whatever it was, it made him come back here stronger, angrier, and more focused. He placed a steady hand on her shoulder. I won't let him near you. Thank you, sir, she whispered. Chika didn't move his hand immediately. For a moment, the tension between them softened into something gentler, unspoken, delicate, confusing. But before either could speak, a loud shout erupted outside. He ran around the back. Secure the west wall. Amaka jumped. Chika stood instantly. Stay here, he ordered. Do not move. He ran out with the guards. Amaka listened, trembling, as the mansion erupted into chaos. Footsteps behind the wall. Minutes passed. Then 10. Then 15. No one returned. No one updated her. No sound except the distant thudding of guards' boots on the ground outside. Amaka stood slowly, feeling trapped between fear and curiosity. She stepped toward the corridor door. She wasn't planning to leave. She just wanted to listen. But before she reached the door, a whisper floated through the vents above her. A man's voice. Deep. Quiet. Too close. Amaka. Her blood turned to ice. No. No, it couldn't be. Amaka Nwosu. Her knees wobbled. He was inside the compound. Inside the mansion's walls. Inside the ventilation system. Don't be afraid, the voice whispered. She backed away. Who are you? She whispered. The voice chuckled softly. You already know who I am. Her breathing became uneven. Why are you looking for me? She demanded, voice shaking. Silence. Then, because you are the key. Amaka's heart pounded. Key to what? She whispered. Footsteps above her crawled through the vents, slow, steady. Then the voice said, "You are the girl who stopped a hand, the girl who broke silence, the girl who made the first crack in the mansion's mask." Her entire body trembled. "I'm not part of anything," she said. I know," Samuel whispered. "That is why you're important." She froze. "I don't want anything from you," she whispered. The voice deepened. "But I do." Cold air drifted through the vent. "Tell Chika," Samuel whispered. "That Clarissa's story is only the beginning." The vent above her clicked softly. Then silence. Amaka stumbled backward, gasping. She burst toward the corridor door and banged desperately. "Open! Open the door!" A guard rushed in, alarmed. "What happened?" Amaka's voice cracked with terror. "He's inside." "What? Who?" "Samuel. He spoke to me. Through the vents. He said the beginning isn't over." The guard's face drained of color. He ran to call Chika. Within seconds, the entire mansion erupted with shouts. "Check the roof. Secure the vents. Everyone stay inside." Amaka pressed herself to the wall, shaking violently, because Samuel's last whisper didn't leave her mind. "You are the key." But key to what? And what exactly was the beginning? Chaos swept through the mansion like wildfire. Guards sprinted across the compound, radios buzzing, the sharp scent of fear drifting through the corridors. The once peaceful home now felt like a battleground, charged, dangerous, trembling with uncertainty. Amaka sat on the small wooden bench in the safe corridor, her knees pulled tightly to her chest. Her hands trembled despite her efforts to clasp them together. Samuel's voice still echoed in her ears. "You are the key." To what? Why her? The door burst open and 2 guards hurried in. "Miss Amaka," one said urgently, "Sir Chika wants you moved to the upper suite, away from vents, away from ground-level entries." She stood slowly. Is he okay?" Her voice cracked slightly. "Yes, ma, but he wants you under tighter protection." They escorted her through the narrow corridor, their steps sharp and tense. The mansion that once felt like a symbol of wealth now felt like a maze of shadows. Every corner held the possibility of danger. As they approached the main staircase, Chika appeared at the top, fists clenched, breathing slightly heavier than normal. His eyes immediately found Amaka. "Are you hurt?" he asked, descending quickly. "No, sir," she replied softly, "but he spoke to me, through the vents." Chika's jaw tightened. "We checked the exterior vents. He wasn't there." Amaka swallowed. "But I heard him. His voice was inside." Chika nodded grimly. "I believe you." He turned to the guards. "Seal every vent panel in this wing. Double patrolling every hour." "Yes, sir." The guards rushed off. Chika motioned for Amaka to follow him upstairs. He led her into a bedroom she had never entered before, quiet, spacious, untouched. Heavy curtains blocked the sunlight. A single lamp glowed softly on a desk. "You'll stay here until we understand what he wants," Chika said. Amaka stepped in hesitantly. "Sir, I don't want to cause problems. I don't belong in a room like this." Chika turned to face her. "You belong somewhere safe," he said softly. "And for now, that is here." Their eyes met. For a moment, something warm flickered between them, comfort, trust, something fragile and unspoken. But the moment shattered when a radio crackled sharply outside. A guard's voice boomed. "Sir, we found something at the west side of the fence." Chika stepped out into the hallway instantly. "What did you find?" he demanded. The guard approached, holding a small folded piece of paper sealed with tape. It was stuck under one of the vent covers. Chika grabbed it. Amaka hovered in the doorway, heart pounding. Chika unfolded the paper slowly. His eyes moved across the writing. Then his face drained of color. "What is it?" Amaka asked. He didn't answer at first. He simply turned the paper toward her. On it was written, "She is not who you think she is. Ask her about Riverside." Amaka blinked. "Riverside?" she whispered. "What is that?" Chika studied her face carefully. "You don't know anything about this." "No," she said quickly, fear flickering in her eyes. "I've never heard that name in my life." Chika believed her. But the message was deliberate, too deliberate. Samuel wanted to shake them, or divide them, or force something out. Chika folded the paper slowly. Amaka, someone is playing a dangerous game. And they want you involved. Her breath became shallow. But why me? I didn't do anything. Chika lowered his voice. I don't think Samuel is acting alone anymore. Amaka's head snapped up. You mean someone else is targeting this house? Chika nodded grimly. And they know your name. They know you stopped Clarissa. They know you're important to me. Amaka froze. Important to him? She didn't know how to respond. But before she could think of anything, a scream erupted from downstairs. High-pitched, terrified. The guards reacted instantly. Chika grabbed Amaka's wrist. Stay behind me. They rushed down the stairs. Workers scattered in every direction. Adaora pointed toward the back exit, trembling violently. In the garden, she cried. We saw someone standing near the fountain. Guards bolted outside. Chika pulled Amaka close to his side. Don't move, he whispered. The mansion grounds, once a picture of elegance, now seemed to tremble under the tension. As guards fanned out, their flashlights cutting through the shadows, Amaka's heartbeat thudded in her ears. Then suddenly, one guard shouted, Sir! We found something. Everyone rushed toward the fountain. Near the edge of the marble basin lay a small black object, a phone. Chika picked it up. The screen was cracked, and a red notification blinked. One new video message. Chika's fingers hesitated. Amaka's breath caught in her throat. Play it, she whispered. He did. The screen lit up and a video appeared. A shaky recording of the mansion grounds, taken from somewhere high, possibly the roof. A man's voice spoke behind the camera. Samuel's voice. This house has secrets. Deep ones. You think Clarissa was the only shadow in this mansion? He laughed softly. No. There are older shadows, hidden ones. The camera zoomed toward one of the upper windows. Amaka's window. Her heart stopped. Samuel whispered, Riverside knows her name. And Riverside always collects. The video ended. Silence slammed into the group. Cheek gripped the phone so tightly his knuckles whitened. Who is Riverside? He said under his breath. No one answered. Amaka felt her knees weaken. Sir, I swear I don't know who or what that is. Chika looked at her, really looked at her. Her trembling hands, her wide, genuine fear, her innocence. He believed her, but belief wasn't enough anymore. Someone knew something about her past. Something she didn't know. Something dangerous. He lifted his head and addressed the guards. Nobody enters or leaves this house tonight. Yes, sir. The guards spread out. Workers hurried inside. The air grew thicker. Amaka stood beside Chika, trying not to collapse. What does he want from me? She whispered. Chika placed a steady hand on her back. I don't know yet, he said. But I promise, we will find out. They turned to go inside. But then, a branch cracked loudly near the bushes. Everyone froze. Guards raised their guns. Lights swung toward the noise. A figure stood half hidden behind the trees. Tall. Still. Watching them. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then the figure stepped forward just enough for the moonlight to catch his face. But his features were shadowed, unreadable. Not Samuel. Someone else. Someone new. Chika's voice dropped to a whisper. Who is that? The figure didn't move. Didn't speak. Just lifted a single hand and pointed directly at Amaka. She gasped softly. Chika stepped in front of her instantly. Get her inside, he shouted. Guards rushed forward, but the moment they blinked, the figure vanished. Slip into darkness, as if he'd never been there. Amaka clutched her chest, trembling violently. Chika held her arms to steady her. The guards chased the shadows desperately, but there was no one left to catch. Nothing but the echo of danger. Nothing but unanswered questions. And as Chika led Amaka inside, locking the doors behind them, the words Samuel whispered through the vent returned to her mind. You are the key. To what? She didn't know, but she knew one thing. Whatever was coming next would be much worse. Thank you for watching. Let us know where you are watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos.